Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. We're returning today to the Walter and Lau Russell Home Study Course, Lesson 4, How to Meditate and Questions Answered Concerning Meditation. When I originally started to record this course, I was recording it at the same time as I started Psychiana series and the Dynamic Thought series, but I held on to the first 3 for a long time. So this is actually the first time after reading those first 3 episodes, and I'm not sure I want to do all 48 lessons, as I have found whenever I just put a lesson number on any of my episodes, fewer people will watch it. In reality, each of these lessons are completely unique and different. Walter Russell is a master genius and talks about how meditation can be used as a form of manifestation, as a tool in understanding the inner self, and is so incredibly wise and powerful. I'm telling you, if you listen to that episode, The Secret of Light by Walter Russell, you'll get what I'm saying. He was an amazing artist, an amazing man, and so was Lau Russell. And they came together and offered these courses and answered some questions. There are some things talked about in this episode that are beyond amazing that I know that you've thought about regarding meditation in a variety of ways. And these will answer some of your questions. Walter Russell was super amazing. I believe one of the great thought leaders ever. And I wish I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to him and ask him questions. And here, this is actually happening. And they're answering questions. And some of these questions and answers are amazing. In this episode, we talk about the world of imagining, the Pagan Age of Man, the Cosmic Age, and a variety of really powerful questions about meditation. How to meditate and questions answered concerning meditation. Meditation is the key that will open the door to your inner self, wherein lies all the true power for material manifestation. For as sound springs from silence, so does positive action come from inner knowing. It has been said that one must lose one's life to find it. Applied to meditation, it means that one must lose or forget one's mortal body in order to become aware of one's immortality. That is exactly what happens when we seek the light of self-illumination in our eternal selves. The great glory of existence is reached only by mind awareness. You can only reach supreme heights that way. In that ecstatic existence is the seed and source of all power and all knowledge, which is yours by just desiring it. It is not easy to acquire the meditative state all at once, even as carefully as these lessons tell you how to acquire it. It must come slowly and always through desire to talk with God. There is no other way. You must either desire to live in the sensed body of earth or in the light of the mind kingdom of heaven. That is the answer to those who say they try to meditate but find they cannot stop thinking to get into that state of mind. To those who are thus troubled in making the transition, we would say that if you desired to talk to the President of the United States, your mind would be centered on the reason why you desired to talk to him. Exactly the same procedure takes place when you wish to talk with God. Your mind is centered on your desire. You could not possibly think of other things, nor could your thinking wander aimlessly. Concentrate hard upon your desire, if you wish, or just breathe your desire softly, or just write it upon your heart wordlessly. Perhaps your desire has no definite objective other than to find the peace of heavenly companionship by dwelling in the love nature of yourself and God. It makes no difference what your desire is, or whether your approach is in deep concentration upon some specific thing, or in dreamy decentration upon some nebulous idea, or upon nothing at all. You cannot concentrate long in any case, not more than 5 to 10 minutes, before the reaction of decentration replaces it. Gradually, the inspiration you ask for will come to you. Before you can realize it, you will find yourself stepping in and out of the body. In that alternation which always takes place while losing your sensed awareness. Gradually, you will completely forget your body and have full awareness of the light of knowing, which mind is. Slowly, very slowly, read the answer to the first question on how to meditate. Then, follow through one step at a time, letting the ego of your material self melt into the great being of your eternal self. Gradually, you will find it becomes increasingly easy to merge into the oneness of the universe. The secrets of the universe will then be gradually revealed to you, and you must then put your inner knowing into material action. Remember, you have all knowledge and power within you, so tap your inner reservoir and express your inherent genius. Question: how can I decentrate into that stillness of the meditative mood? The more I try to stop thinking, the more things I keep thinking of. Answer: first, desire to be in the light. Say to yourself wordlessly, I want to be alone with God. If you do want to be alone with God, there is a reason for it. That reason is that you need God. You have a desire you want fulfilled, a problem to solve, illness, misfortune, a financial loss or need, an idea for invention, conception for a work of art. No matter what it is you need, whether knowledge, power, or inspiration, no matter what it is, desire it in your heart, wordlessly. Do not talk to God in words. Talk to Him in essence. Know Him. Do not think of Him, and thus make Him objective and apart from you. Be Him. Let your soul touch His soul. Seek ecstasy of mind. When you find that ecstasy, you will know that He is one with you. Second, your desire is written upon your heart. It is registered in your soul. It is no longer your body's desire. It is your soul's desire. You are in communion with God about it, not in words, but in light. You have an increasing sense of joyousness. Your desire is written into the universal heartbeat rhythmically. You are responding to it rhythmically. You are no longer just body. You are soul, slightly aware of body, slightly aware of earth and the heavens above, and of creating things. You're not thinking of extraneous things. You cannot think of objective things of earth while you are in the spirit. Third, you are in a contemplative mood. There's an indescribable peace in its rest. Your soul sees the beauty of the flower you are passing. It is not your eyes which see neither the beauty nor your ears which hear the silence from which the sounds of earth spring. You are in the rhythmic world of imagining, the world of inspiration, the world of the high heavens, the formless, indescribable world of the high heavens. You become less and less aware of your body. As you become more wholly mind, you dream rather than sense. Fourth, you are in communion with God. You are one with all things. All things are one. You know all things as one. You know the light which all things are. You know the love nature of God in all things. You know God is love. You know yourself as love. You know the ecstasy of love. You know yourself. The mortal you has become the eternal you. Fifth, that which you desired to know, you do know. That which you desired to have, you now have. You have always known and always have had that which you have, but now desired. You have always known it in spirit, for you are the light of all knowing, which spirit is. God does not give you knowledge or power. He gives you awareness that you already have all knowledge and all power that He has, for He makes you comprehend your oneness with Him. When you actually know that, you can then say, "My Father and I are one." Neither does God give you material things without your equal regiving, for that is the inviolate law regarding all material things. He gives you the seed, but you must unfold the seed. He gives you His body to fashion into the form of your desire, but you must give equally of your body to fashion it. God gives you the tools you need, but you must use them. God manifests the spirit of His nature in His own body by creating His body in the image of His self. You must manifest the spirit of your nature in your own body by creating your body in the image of yourself. God will forever work with you, but you must work with Him. Sixth, in meditation, you have stepped out of the material into the spiritual you. You've stepped out of the body of yourself into the mind of yourself, out of the manifestation of reality into reality. You've stepped out of the conditioned universe of divided and unbalanced things into the unconditioned and undivided universe of balance, which controls unbalanced things. You have done this because you had desire in you, which must be fulfilled. Your desire has been fulfilled. God has illumined you with the knowledge you desired. You become inspired. Conception of idea in spiritual form is now in you. But can you now come back into the physical world and transform your conceived image into a material one? You now know cause. You've acquired that knowledge from the stillness of mind knowing. Can you translate it into effect by making a body for your conceptions? God has given you what you have desired. Now comes the important question as to what you are going to do about it. How shall you use it? Have you the moral courage to use it, or are you still a weakling, preferring to suffer the effects of your ills rather than to remove their causes? Will you work with God and arise, or against God and fail? Your body manifests your mind. It will do what you command it to do. Is it ill? If so, it is out of balance. Restore its balance by balanced thinking. Balance is in the eternal you. Now, extends balance to the mortal you. Whatever your problem was, it has been solved in the spirit of you. Can you now manifest it? Can you now give it a body? Can you now extend your spiritual balance to your unbalanced physical body to stop the wreckage of your business, or heal your body, or regain a best friendship? All of our problems of life lie in the fact that we are forever manifesting cause by extending cause into effect. What we know spiritually, we are endeavoring to manifest physically. We succeed or fail partially or fully. Our failure is certain if we work alone without God, for we can do nothing of ourselves alone. The measure of our ability to transform the reality of cause into its simulated manifestation is the measure of our God awareness, coupled with desire to work knowingly with God from moment to moment. To commune with God for inspiration alone, then to forget God until later when mediocrity is stamped upon your work, is to fall short of manifesting your soul's desire. To create a masterpiece which truly manifests your soul's desire means that you must work knowingly with God every moment while interpreting the rhythms of your inspired vision into rhythmic forms. God's creative processes are our creative processes. His creations are extensions of His knowing transformed into the desired form through action. Our creations are also extensions of our knowing transformed by action. If we think that God has not granted our desire, it is because we have failed to manifest the awareness which He has given us. If our problems are still unbalanced, it is because we have failed to extend our balance to them. We have that balance to extend, but do not extend it. We continue the cause of our ills and then blame God for continuing their effects. In this manner, we learn our lessons of failure or success, good or ill. Life is just a lesson, just a continuous process of learning how to transform cause into effect in such a manner that we accomplish what we desire to accomplish, or we do not. There is only one reason for failure: to fulfill your greatest desire, just as there is but one reason for fulfilling it abundantly. We cannot fully explain and define this one reason so early in the unfolding of this new knowledge, for you are not ready for it, and will not be until some basic misconceptions commonly held by all mankind of this present age are changed. Gradually, as the real picture of God and nature unfolds, this one reason will be given to you as the most basic and fundamental law and principle of creation. Also, it is inviolate, whether heeded or unheeded. All we can say now is to realize the fact that this universe is based upon love and the law of love, which is the principle of rhythmic, balanced interchange, or giving for re-giving, as the basis of what we shall try to unfold gradually. To say that it can now be comprehended is to assume that you know what love means, and you do not. Its meaning has not yet penetrated mass consciousness sufficiently to become a part of human practice. Words alone will not convey knowledge of God's one law to you. You must know it in your heart until it becomes your nature. When it becomes your nature, you will then practice it without compromise or without the possibility of violating it. No civilization can hold together until love becomes the basis of human nature. When you and many other men have acquired this understanding as a part of human nature, the day of cosmic man will have dawned. Question: you say that God does not give us material things without our equal re-giving. That is contrary to all my whole life's teachings, which say that all God's gifts are free, that God gives us everything, supplies all our needs freely and without price, as freely as the air we breathe. Answer: that idea is one of the commonly accepted misconceptions we have just referred to. It is entirely erroneous because it is not the nature of God, nor does it conform with His law as exemplified in the universal heartbeat and in the electric wave. Let us begin to reform our old conceptions one step at a time. God works with you, not for you as man believes. God gives, but you must re-give. And equally, God gives you the free will right to your action, but withholds the right to the reaction. Woes beside you if your action is out of balance with its reaction, for God will not allow unbalance in all His universe. You have spoken of the air we breathe. God gives it to us from His body, but we must make the effort of breathing it in. Then we must re-give it equally to His body for re-giving. Likewise, God gives us our very bodies from His body, and we give them back to His body equally for re-giving. He gives us our daily bread for our bodies, but we must nurture and attend our bodies continually, else His gift of bread would be of no avail. God gives us the seed, but we must nurture the seed. Those who believe that God's gifts are free spend much time in wishful thinking and selfish prayer, in the making of many useless affirmations, in the hope and belief that God will work magic at their request and drop money or applause of men, or full-grown fruit of their desire right in their laps, freely and with no effort on their part. Let God do it, they say, and ask and ye shall receive, and with faith and belief you can move mountains. Men have moved mountains by working with the knowledge and power given by God, but not through idleness and wishful thinking. God has given man the power to fly the heavens of the whole world, to talk simultaneously to the whole world of men, to command the tides, to sail the seas, and to harness Niagara, but not by wishful thinking, not by faith and belief, not by sitting idly by and letting God do it. The only way men have done these things was to re-give of themselves for that which God has given of His self. If you ask God to help you become a concert pianist, He will unfailingly help you. and work with you, but he will not work for you while you sit and affirm that you are going to be a concert pianist. That is what we mean when we say that you must work knowingly with God, knowing that God is working with you, giving you exactly what you are able to give back equally from moment to moment and not more, but setting no limitations on what he will give. God lets you set those limitations, which may be bounded or unbounded, or be as great or small as your desire is great or small. God works with engineers and architects to build great bridges and cathedrals, with poets to create great epics, with painters and sculptors to create great masterpieces, with inventors to ease men's burdens, but God does not work for them. He gives all they ask and can receive, but they must re-give equally. Let us be specific. Let us say you want to have an apple orchard in your meadow. Your desire is for wonderful apples, the best ever grown. Your meadow is God's body. If you put seeds in your meadow where you desire the trees to be, God's body will extend apple trees, and apples in due time and of a quality measured by the re-giving of your body in service of watering, pruning, and other expressions of love to equal the love given by God. The wonderful apples of your desire will come only if love given to them by you equals love given by God to them. A story is told about a farmer who desired a wonderful farm and asked God for it. Soon he found a rocky and overgrown farm and purchased it, whereupon a critical neighbor said, "You prayed for a wonderful farm. If this is what God gave you, what good is your prayer?" "God is answering my prayer. You wait and see," the farmer said. "This is all I could give now to match his giving, but he will give more when I give more." So the farmer worked knowingly and lovingly with God, and God worked with him with equal love. Year after year, God extended love from his body and the farmer from his, until the wonderful farm of his desire stood before him in all of its majesty as a co-creation of God and man. 5 years later, his minister looked out over the lovely, well-cultivated fields and said, "How wonderfully God has blessed you with this beautiful farm. How lovely and rich these fields are." "Yes," said the farmer, "but you should have seen it when God worked it alone." There is not the slightest irreverence in this story, for it is law, and it is the way God works. The critical neighbor was wrong in expecting God to give the farmer more than he could re-give, and the farmer was right in stating that God was answering his prayer in the full measure of his desire. The law of equal giving, for re-giving is absolute. You must give equally for what is given you. An effort on your part must pay for the effort on God's part. If you stop giving, you will shut off your own supply. If the heavens cease giving rains to earth, the earth ceases giving crops and forests to heavens. God's law will never give you anything without an equivalent repayment in action. You must nurture the health which is given you, and give much care to your body as long as you use that gift. You could starve with food 10 feet away from you unless you gave effort to reach for it and more effort in preparing it for use. Love means exchange of service for service, and God's law demands that service given must equal service rendered. Question: what I cannot understand is your constant insistence upon the word equally in relation to giving and re-giving. I've always been brought up to believe that God gives abundantly, very much in excess of what effort we give. If we put a bushel of potatoes in the ground, God multiplies them 100-fold for us, and for every measure of wheat we give to him, he gives us 100 to our one. Please explain that. Answer: God's universe is founded upon balance. One balanced condition which he divides into two equal and opposite conditions of his electric thinking. This electric universe of matter is composed entirely of these two equal and opposite conditions. Every effort of every creating thing is expressed by the motion of interchange between those pairs of opposite conditions, such as matter and space, which constantly interchange equally by breathing into and out of each other equally. Without that equality of rhythmically repeated interchange, the universe could not continue. That rhythmic interchange constitutes the heartbeat of God's body. Its rhythm and balance are absolute because the division in God's electric thinking is equally balanced. Now, as to the question, it is not a bushel of potatoes or a measure of wheat which you give to God's body for regiving. From God's body, it is a measure of seed which multiplies its patterned form in God's body by transforming one form into another form. There has been no multiplication of God's body, nor has its balance been upset. An equal substance of earth has been transformed into an equal substance of potatoes or wheat. Likewise, you've given service as well as seed. The more service you give in caring for your seed, the greater service the soil will re-give to you. Whatever you give will be re-given equally, no more, no less. If you give little service to the potato field, you will get few potatoes. The more service you give to them, the more potatoes you will get. There is no more and no less in God's body when one substance is transformed into another. Neither is that multiplication of potatoes or wheat given to you until you re-give in effort or service. If you do not re-give to obtain them, they are still God's body and will retransform their forms and substance into the formless earth from which they sprang. You cannot have what you do not pay for. Love given must be paid for with equal love re-given. Service accepted must equal service rendered. The potatoes or wheat in the ground are still God's body. They are not yet yours until you re-give equally to earn the gift by digging them out of the ground. Until you do dig them out, they have not been given to you. Question: I see that clearly now, but how could you explain its application to a man in business who gives more than he is paid for, or more than is expected of him, or to a genius who gives all he has with less pay than a workman, or to a great inventor like a Goodyear who starved all of his life but gave untold value to the world many millions of times in excess of what he received? Answer: the type of man you refer to could not give more than he has received. He could not give more of himself than he is. For all his life he has been given that which has made him what he is. If he gives more than is expected of him, God's law will balance it in promotion or increased salary. If that is not his motive, and if an increase is not given him, he has enriched himself by experience and better judgment in the management of his life. The genius who gives his all of great value for less than a materialist has 10,000 times more reward of the kind he wants than the materialist. He has the ecstasy of living in the high heavens. He knows the joy of self-expression, of hearing heavenly rhythms which do not exist for the materialist, and his immortality lives forever in the memory of man. When the materialist is forgotten, the genius never counts reward for service in terms of money values. Goodyear's body starved, but his soul was enriched for aeons to come by having demonstrated his immortality. His reward was a satisfaction that all the money in the world could not equal. He won the gratitude of the world. You are still re-giving love to him for the love he gave to you, and so is the whole world. There are other values than money values, and money values have no meaning whatsoever unless they manifest love. This gives us an opportunity to say something which we have been leading up to say to you. We are trying to unfold the cosmic mentality of the coming race of man by helping mankind to realize that the nature of God and of man and of all creating things and of all laws and principles relating to creating things and of all the laws and principles relating to man's dealings with other men is founded on love. God is love, and creation is love manifested. The universe is founded on love. There is not in the universe anywhere or in anything or in any experience of man or animal or the elements or of the starry systems that does not express love. It may be difficult to change such misconceptions as sin, evil, and wickedness in general, but sin or evil do not exist, and we shall fail in our task if we cannot demonstrate to you with conviction that God's universe expresses God's nature and that it is all good. We have lived in an evil universe long enough. Wars, fears, and hatreds have been the fruit of God sent a message of love into the world 2,000 years ago to prepare man's mind for the thought of love, which was then unborn in him. God sent another message of love to man, of new comprehension, for the express purpose of gradually ending man's barbarian days of fear and hate and transforming him to the ways of love. That is the reason for these steps in trying to unravel the great complexities of the unknowing life of material sensing to the knowing life of cosmic expression of the God nature in the ways of man. Question: do we meditate with our mind or our brain? Answer: we meditate with our mind. There is only one mind, which is God's mind. God's mind is the one knower, the one thinker. The reason you think you have a separate mind of your own is that the thoughts you think are the ones stored in your brain as memories of experiences of your own body or your own thoughts. God's mind motivates those thoughts which you think of as your own. You could not think except for the motivating power of desire in you. Mind thinks ideas of its knowing into form by dividing one idea into many parts. These parts are electrically projected into a three-dimensional universe through the pulsations of thinking. The brain records the thought forms, symbols, and other electrical actions, but records of thoughts are not thoughts. Thinking is electric, but electricity is not knowledge. It is but the motivating power for expressing knowledge. Question: what relation is my mind to my brain? Answer: your brain is electric matter, just electric waves, which all matter is. Matter does not think, nor does it know. You do not think with your brain, you think through it by projecting an electric current through it, exactly as you project an electric current through your phonograph to motivate phonographic records, or through a lens to concentrate light. Your phonograph may have a dozen recorded ideas, but it does not know what is recorded upon them. Your brain has thousands upon thousands of ideas recorded upon it, but your brain does not know what is upon them. The intelligence which selects the desired record for your phonograph also selects the desired record from your brain. The electric current of your desire motivates those records into action. Your brain is a part of the electrical machine, which is your body. Its function is to record memories, experiences, and information. It is also the central nerve ganglion of the body, which acts automatically to fulfill the demands of the body, or when willed to act by the intelligence which centers it. The brain does not know what it is doing any more than the automobile knows what it is doing or where it is going when activated by the intelligence which centers it. Knowledge is a quality of mind and not of matter. Matter records knowledge, but a record of knowledge is not knowledge, any more than a printed book is the idea recorded in the book. One student reminded us that science has proven that the brain thinks because an instrument has been invented that records electric wave pulsations in the brain. That instrument does not prove any such thing. It merely proves that an electric current is passing through the brain when mind thinks, just as the same instrument can prove that an electric current is passing through your recording phonograph or washing machine or wire recorder or your heart or your refrigerator. But that does not prove that those machines think. It merely proves that all electric matter obeys the intelligence which motivates all matter. Electricity is the servant of mind, but is not mind. Witness, for example, the telegram which passes through an electrically motivated wire as electric current. You know that the idea in the telegram is a mind extension arising from an intelligence which thought the idea into form. You know that the wire is not thinking that thought. You know also that the wire is but recording form symbols automatically and that it has no knowledge of what it is doing. You know also that the telegram does not know the idea which it manifests, just as books do not know the ideas and diagrams which are printed in them. In this whole universe, we have only mind and matter to deal with. Mind alone can know things and think things. Matter is electric and can only sense things. Sensing is the sensation caused by an electric current passing through matter, such as nerves or wires. The brain is composed of nerve matter which extends to the whole body in nerve forms. Electric vibrations belong to the physical universe of motion. All matter is motion only. Electric wave vibrations of motion, and the sole purpose of matter is to build bodies in forms and patterns conceived by mind and imagined into form by the electric thinking of mind. Electricity is the tool used to fashion mind conceptions of the creator into form, but the tool used by any creator is not the creator. Question: What is the relation of my mind to my brain? Answer: your invisible mind has its center of consciousness between the two lobes of visible brain, and that conscious center coordinates with the dual seat of sensation in the brain. The brain obeys your will whenever your consciousness demands action by it. There are machines made which will do 1,000 complex things when buttons are pressed by the will of mind to compel those machines to obey one's will. The machine adds or subtracts, prints columns, and computes totals more accurately than the human machine can do them, but the human brain has no more awareness of what it is doing than the computing machine has. Ideas and concepts formed by your intelligence are expressed through the brain, but not by the brain. Your meditations are spiritual. You interpret them into matter electrically. The physical universe of matter is but the electric record of thoughts of mind, but it is not thought. Much confusion arises from the assumption that we are thinking when we are but sensing. The brain is constantly receiving electric messages from all over the body. Such messages are not mental, they are purely electrical. They produce sensation, and sensation is just the friction caused by the tension of electrical strains as the two opposite directions of electricity resist each other. The brain senses and records every message and sends counteracting messages to other parts of the body. A message from the arm says, "I'm in pain." Pain is merely an overload of electric tension. It is a sensation, not a thought. Pain is caused by too great a current passing through a nerve. A strong electric current will burn out a small wire by heating it. Pain in your body is the same effect. Too much current forced through the nerves which burns them. Sensing comes from the body while thought comes from the mind. We believe we are thinking when we are but electrically sensing. All day long, the body is telling the body through the brain that it is hungry, that it needs a drink of water or wants to dance, or that it is cold, and 100 other things. The senses of the body are thus continually intercommunicating with the senses. But these electrical sensations are not thoughts until those sensations make us mentally aware of them. We then think, and we decide to do something about them. We give our body a drink of water, or gratify its desire to dance, or put a coat on it to warm it. Our mental decision is a thought, but the electric message of the body to the body is but a sensation. It is the body speaking to the body. Such a sensation may not even come from your own body to your own body. Another body can record his thought into electric sensation by ordering his senses to record the thought in words, which are again recorded as a telegram to you. A series of sensations which have no meaning in themselves are translated into meaning by your intelligence, and you then mentally decide to do something about it. The sensations in matter which have taken place between the mental operation of the sender and the receiver are purely electrical. They have no relation to mind, nor thought of mind. Again, we repeat this fact in other words of the same meaning. All matter is but sensed electric wave vibrations of motion. Matter has no intelligence, nor knowledge, nor power to think or meditate. That applies to your brain, for your brain is not but matter centered by guiding intelligence. The same thing can be said of your automobile. All material bodies have what might be termed an electrical awareness of each other and of their relation to each other. The brain is the seat of such an electrical awareness in man. Electrical awareness is necessary to an electrically mechanized universe, but electrical sensations or vibrations between mechanized parts of matter are not mental, for an electrically controlled machine in your factory has exactly the same electric awareness that you have. Its wired nervous system conveys electric messages to all of its parts for the dual purpose of motivating them, as well as for adjusting all parts to each other. Brain handicaps meditation. It might well be said that instead of our brains aiding in meditation, we meditate in spite of our brains. For perfect meditation, you need to lose your body, to forget it as though you have no body. One cannot lose or forget his body if his senses will not let him do so. Imagine a musical genius trying to compose a symphony in competition with sensations. He cannot do it except by long practice of being able to shut out any sensations whatsoever, such as noise, discomfort, or inharmonious environment. A master can do this, but not a novice. Question: does that explain why geniuses are so far greater than other men? Answer: yes, it does. The genius is ahead of other men because of his awareness of his divine power, which he has multiplied and remultiplied 1,000-fold by his lifelong habit of seeking aloneness for the purpose of unfolding that divine power for his own creative expression. Your own genius is as great as any man's on earth. The only reason that you do not know it is because you have never given yourself an opportunity to know your divine inheritance. By forgetting your body long enough to become aware of your soul, you allow motions and tensions of body sensing to dominate you instead of your sleeping soul. Go into the deep forest and awaken your soul. That is what meditation is for, and the moment you begin to practice it, that moment you begin to express the unlimited power of the awakening genius within you. If you acquire the habit of meditation, you multiply your knowledge and the power to express your knowledge. You also give your body an escape from its tensions, which heals it of all of its ills by restoring its balance. Through meditation, Edison acquired the knowledge and power to unfold an idea not yet known on earth. Through meditation, he got the concept for that idea in a flash of inspiration and creating a body for it through concentrating thinking the idea of that concept into a physical form. Through meditation, the great writers, painters, sculptors, poets, and musicians are enabled to work knowingly with God as one with Him. Having acquired their concept from God's all-knowing mind, they create their concept into material form by knowingly working with God's hands to create eternally living masterpieces which will endure because their very nature is God's nature manifested in them. Question: how can mind relax when you say that mind is unchanging? Also, do I have to concentrate to meditate? Answer: it is not your mind which relaxes, it is your electric thinking. When your thinking is concentrated, it is under the same stresses and strains which a clock spring is when wound tight. It is an effort to wind a clock spring, for it resists being wound, and it is straining to become unwound. We will draw you a picture which illustrates that will also illustrate your thinking when concentrated. When you release all tension, the clock spring relaxes, it expands to a position of rest. It is utterly released from effort to resist strains. The whole physical universe of forming, growing bodies is due to the first motion of concentrative thinking. Conversely, all degenerating and decaying bodies are due to the expansion of decentrative thinking. We hope you can clearly see that the only desire you should ever have is the desire to acquire God awareness in you for the purpose of extending God's love nature from you as your nature, His power as your power, and His knowing as your knowing. Meditation is for the purpose of acquiring this awareness. And if you acquire it just for the bliss of it, the ecstasy and peace of it for yourself alone, that is not enough. For the God nature is purposeful, and you must be purposeful by extending your love nature to all other men for their cultural uplift. World culture comes only from those who have God awareness in them. Without God awareness in man, he is of the jungle. The measure of his growing God awareness is the measure of his growing culture. What applies to man as a whole applies to you. Your masterliness is of your own making as well as its mediocrity. Remember that genius is self-bestowed and mediocrity is self-inflicted. The world of imaginings. Meditation transports one from the transient world of matter to the real world of dreaming, visions, and imaginings, where idea is and concepts are born. That is the world where sounds are heard in the silence of your soul, where no sound is, where rhythms of symphony and poem are the rhythms of cosmic pulsing of God's thinking manifested in the heartbeat of his universe. God's ecstatic kingdom of light is the uncreated universe of souls of things which have not yet appeared in form, but which eternally are. Go thou there, you may journey to the ecstatic world in God's high heavens, for just your soul's asking to be transported to that kingdom of the souls of things. Desire that stillness within your soul, and behold, you are the soul of all the universe of countless uncreated ones which spring from one in you. Behold yourself, your uncreated self, eternal you, not yet manifested, or if manifested, have forgotten it as though you had never been. Desire thou that kingdom, and behold, it standeth before thee. And if there are those among men who ask, wherein shall I seek the kingdom of the souls of uncreated things, we say, go thou and seek beauty. And where shall I find beauty? You will find beauty where love is, for beauty lies in the giving of love and its re-giving. And where shall I find love in this sordid world of fear, where no peace is, of hatred where no love can be, of ugliness which stifleth beauty, and of evil which driveth love away? Seek it within yourself. When you find self, you will find love. For naught but love is within self. Where love is, neither fear nor hate can be, for evil exists not. There is naught but experience in extended bodies, and all experiences are good. For all experiences extend from love, and love awaits their competition in love. Remember our father-mother saying the message of the divine Iliad, I am a patient God. All men will come to me in due time, but theirs is the agony of awaiting. These are God's words to cosmic man. You have undoubtedly read these lessons all at once from beginning to end. Now begin from the beginning again, slowly, carefully, a sentence at a time, a paragraph at a time, and a page and a chapter at a time, until their deeper meaning becomes a part of your inner consciousness. This is new knowledge and new thinking. You cannot transform your past ages of traditional thinking into new knowing without giving such deep and earnest thought to it that it becomes a part of your very self. New thinking cannot be grasped at once. Do not be discouraged if you do not attain expected heights immediately. You would not expect to play the classics at once if you studied music, for that would be new thinking for you, and you would have to begin with scales and finger exercises. When you begin to think cosmically, you will advance rapidly if your desire is keen. But from the very day you begin, you will note increasingly greater power in your work and still greater transformation of your personality. This message to you is from our soul to your soul, and not to the senses of your body. By giving deep thought to it, you will find that which you seek. We can open the door for you through which we have ourselves entered and found the light, but only you yourself can make it a part of you by giving yourself the time to absorb it completely. Realizing this fact, we have not asked you to send in examination papers or reports or essays, such as you would be required to do if you were obtaining information which be remembered and repeated at will. To apply the customary rules of examination by questionnaires would not be fair to you, for one can be examined only for what information he has. A man cannot be examined as to what knowledge he has, for the depths of knowledge cannot be sounded, nor can he be examined for the measure of his inspiration. Knowledge is light from which all ideas of things are born, about which you can become informed, but information concerning effect is not knowledge of its cause. Whatever emanates from you as a result of this knowing will be creative expression, not mere repetition. Knowledge is the one basis for creation. To become knowingly a creator is to achieve the highest pinnacle of human expression. Your main object in life is to think and know like a creator, not to remember and repeat like an automaton. Personal word to all students. Dear cosmic friends, your desire for God's message for the new cosmic age was expressed when you enrolled for the home study course. And if we can but impart this new knowledge to you during the coming months, we will have worthily fulfilled our mission on earth, which is to bring the cosmic age of man into being. In these first 4 lessons, we know you will realize the trend of your desire in respect to each one of you individually and as a whole. This letter is to make our purpose a little more clear. Let us therefore look back on man's cycle of unfolding to aid in clarifying our intent. If the human race survives, it will undergo a great transition, which will uplift it to as yet undreamed of heights. The purpose of these lessons is to prepare you for your own uplift and to become a leader for world uplift, even though part of the human race may sink into the great depths at the same time. The Pagan Age of Man. The first transition occurred at the dawn of consciousness when primate man first began to think and know. Out of his search for a greater being, the pagan age of idol worship of many gods arose, but man was still a brute man, fearing all things, still loving to shed blood for self-purposes and to appease his many gods, whom he also feared. Mystic messengers told of the one God of love, but man could then conceive only a God of wrath and vengeance, whom he feared and whom he appeased with bloodshed on his very altars in exchange for mercy and absolution. This present age of barbaric man has but one God, but many religions. Out of fear of God, man created hate and evil that divided into tribes, then nations, which killed for plunder and for power over other men. The barbarian age is still killing and is still afraid of God and man, but it has already begun to dissolve because man is beginning to comprehend the unity of God and man, the meaning of love, the interdependence of man, and his ability to vision the possibility of one God, one religion, and one unified world. The pagan barbaric age of unfolding man is followed by the stage known as the genius stage. The genius in man is evidenced when he has unfolded spiritually to the extent where he thinks inwardly toward his mind soul, which is his source of knowledge and inspiration, rather than outwardly through his senses toward the illusion of world and effect. Culture comes to the world through its geniuses. Genius is the stage, which is the stepping stone toward cosmic consciousness that all humans are striving for and will eventually attain. There have probably been 200 geniuses in all time and less than 50 cosmic conscious illuminates. The cosmic age of man. The great transition now dawning is the new age of cosmic man, of spiritual mind knowing, who has transcended his body sensing. Cosmic man is illumined with the light of love and its application to life and law. Cosmic man knows God in him as one. He communes and works with him as one, and knowingly interprets God's nature as co-creator of God's universe. It was for the express purpose of bringing the necessary new knowledge into the world to effect this transition into a world of one God, one religion, and one world that God illumined us. Our life's work demonstrates the multiplied power of cosmic man to multiply his versatility and masterfulness in creative expression, and for giving that knowledge of the light for the illumining of other men. To present most effectually this all-important and least known subject, the illumination, we have decided to define, describe, and explain cosmic consciousness and the illumination by our own experiences. We had thought we would never reveal these most sacred experiences as personal ones, but we now feel that we owe it to the sum of human knowledge. For many centuries, it has been known as an extremely rare human event, which not one who has experienced it has been able to explain because of the inability of past ages to comprehend it. For the reason, we shall both describe our cosmic experiences for your greater understanding. There are an ever-increasing number of cosmic humans who are now ready and able to comprehend cosmic consciousness. We know of many. Some have come, others have written from all over the world, and many are now taking this study course. Everyone who is deeply inspired by the message of the Divine Iliad is ready for it. Otherwise, our writings would have no meanings for them. Now, as we told you to do at the end of the 4th lesson, study these 4 lessons carefully and slowly. Remember always, it is new knowledge and therefore has a new language. Next month, we shall not only explain and define cosmic consciousness, but give the scientific explanation of prayer. Many have told us their prayers are not effectual, thus proving they have not yet learned how to pray and the true meaning of prayer. All prayer is answerable in the light of all knowing, and we shall endeavor to unfold more of his inner power for you by giving you every possible explanation of this all-illumining subject. Devotedly yours, Walter and Lau Russell. So that concludes Lesson 4 of the Walter and Lau Russell Home Study course on Universal Law, Natural Science, and Living Philosophy. These lessons are amazing, and I believe in my heart that Lau and Warren Russell were way ahead of their time. These lessons are meant for right now, for the transition into the new earth, for people that are awakening and entering into cosmic consciousness in the illumination. And I believe super powerful lesson and explanation of the difference between brain and mind, the idea that God works in a specific way and balance is the key. It really is an important aspect. It's very similar to reality transurfing, understanding that everything works to balance. The water always goes to level. So if you have emphatic emotions towards one thing, there will always be a balancing action in response to it. The universe always works in balance. So understanding these balancing is very important. Also, in what you give towards your desire that you wish to manifest, you get back. Very powerful lesson. You can sit and imagine and wish and hope and pray for something, and then just wait at home for the door to open. And it doesn't work like that. But if you take a bold, inspired action towards your goal, then you're re-giving and God starts to work with you. God works with you one-on-one. For every single step you take, he takes a step with you. So the more steps you take, the more water you use to feed your plants, the better your plants will grow. The work you put in is what you get out of it. It's a very important part that a lot of people miss. People are afraid of the idea that you have to work. It's not work. It's just love that you're providing towards the thing you desire, and that you give and you re-give. It's a powerful part of this lesson. This is probably my favorite lesson so far of the course. There's some amazing things in here, and there are portions where Russell is speaking on an entirely different level. I believe he's bringing what is actually the law of one at its most basic level in teaching this law of one concept, the idea that you moment by moment connect to God, and understanding that you're creating and that you're a creator and that God's creative process is your creative process. And really, he's talking about manifesting with your creations, that you work as a creator and then you go through this process of creating, you enter into the world of imagining. And so it's an electric universe, an electric thought-based universe that works rhythmically, which he continually says in The Secret of Light. So we're learning using this electric model of thinking, the way that this interchange works between rhythms that he's talking about in creation, that we can see these examples all around us. So there's an interplay, a relationship that you have with God in your manifestation as a co-creator that is being emphasized in this lesson. I'm not sure that I will do these lessons every single 2 weeks, because it depends on how many that we do. But after this, I'm really excited to read the next lesson. I'd love to get what you think so far of these lessons, and if you want me to continue to do these lessons. If not, let me know. We only get 7 days a week, and so I only have enough days in the week to do different episodes. So many more episodes in the near future, and I hope that you're enjoying these so far. In any case, all episodes of The Reality Revolution can be found at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.